Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, and get this. More and more pundits are recognizing that we may indeed be seeing a massive split inside the political left that promises to blow the Democrat Party apart, and they're predicting that this rift will last for an entire generation. We're going to look at what's going on the left and why it threatens to relegate the Democrats to a permanent minority status for the foreseeable future. You're not going to want to miss this. More and more pundits are starting to recognize what we here on this channel recognize from the very beginning of the Israeli-Hamas conflict. The pro-Hamas left is literally blowing the Democrat Party apart. Now, this clash within the political left first began to happen around the time of the speaker controversies that plagued the GOP for 3 weeks after the Gates 8, the glorious Gates 8, ousted Kevin McCarthy and replaced him with MAGA Mike Johnson. While all of that was going on, the legacy media, of course, was fixated on all the chaos that was effectively unraveling the GOP. Well, again, just to show you, by the way, how ridiculous the legacy media is in peddling blatant propaganda. As of last week, precisely because of MAGA Mike Johnson at the speaker's helm, the National Republican Congressional Committee shattered fundraising records in 1 week. How's that for a chaotic party spiraling out of control? Pure leftist establishment dribble propaganda, nothing more. And we know that precisely because of what was really happening on the political left while Republicans were in debates and deliberations over the speaker. The real political disarray was happening among Democrats. Again, we've been talking about this for weeks now, but it's just now catching the attention of many in the media. Molly Ball of the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the battle between the pro-Israeli faction and the pro-Palestinian faction within the Democratic Party looks increasingly irresolvable. Here's what she writes, quote, "To many on the left, the Israel-Hamas war is spurring what feels like a permanent rupture, when previously sublimated differences become impossible to ignore and everyone must choose sides. In the weeks since the Hamas attacks have riven the liberal coalition, pitting erstwhile allies against each other as ugly accusations fly in both directions. From the halls of power in Washington to street protests and social media, progressives find themselves at odds with those they once saw as kindred spirits. Both pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian advocates describe a feeling of disillusionment as relationships fracture and harsh words are exchanged. The result, many predict, could be a breach that splits Democrats for a generation with untold political consequences." Now, that last sentence there is key. Up until this point, we've been reporting on the potential fallout of the split for the 2024 race. Muslim and Arab Americans who were instrumental in Biden's support back in 2020 are coming out and openly telling Biden that they will not back him in 2024 because of his blanket support for Israel in the Hamas conflict. But according to this reporting in the Wall Street Journal, 2024 would be just the beginning of the fallout from this split. They believe this split could cost the Democrats elections for the next generation. Wait until you see this. But first, gang, are you ready to stand up and join the true resistance? Because I'm leading a group of dedicated, courageous patriots who can lead a spearhead into the heart of the secular globalist establishment. Now, we've punished Bud Light and Target. We've driven CNN and the legacy media to near bankruptcy. We've forced BlackRock to backtrack on ESG. And we've seen our glorious Trump-appointed Supreme Court end affirmative action and protect religious liberty. In my Insiders Club, I show you concrete steps to take locally and online that will only keep this mass uprising going until the battle is won. Don't wait. Click on the link in my description below and join my Courageous Patriots Insiders Club today. Polls are consistently showing that young people, voters aged 30 and under, are more prone to siding with the Palestinians than with Israel. Indeed, that's true of the Democratic Party as a whole. While Republican voters are overwhelmingly pro-Israel, about 80% of Republican voters staunchly back Israel's campaign against Hamas, the situation, shall we say, is just very different when it comes to the Democrats. Astonishingly, Democrat voters are siding with the Palestinians by an 11-point margin, 49 to 38. But again, according to this Wall Street Journal piece, The long-term ramifications of that discrepancy is found in the sentiments among young voters. Now, in short, already before this conflict started, young voters were beginning to abandon the Democrats. It was really panicking it. For example, according to the latest Emerson polling on the under 30 vote, Trump is beating Biden 45-43. Trump's beating Biden with a vote that voted 65% for Biden in 2020. What the Wall Street Journal piece is arguing is that this rift in the Democrat Party with young people is only going to exacerbate with young people largely taking the side of the Palestinians. And again, these dynamics are already mobilizing for 2024. A group called the National Muslim Democrat Council demanded yesterday that Joe Biden force Israel into a ceasefire, or else Muslims are going to work against Democrats in battleground states in 2024. Again, Biden's already suffering politically with Arab Americans. The latest Zogby poll shows that support for Biden among Muslims, once super high, has absolutely plummeted. Biden's approval rating among Arab Americans has gone from 74% in 2020 to now just 29%. Support for Biden in his upcoming election has dropped from nearly 60% in 2020 to today just 17%. That's a 42% decrease since 2020. Now, they're ready to mobilize and organize fully in order to make sure that Biden actually loses in battleground states like Michigan in 2024. But the problem with that threat is that Muslims only make up half the voting population as Jews in this nation. But again, this rift is forcing the Democrats to choose which demographic to cut loose. And in this case, they're going to cut loose a demographic group, no matter what, that's represented by a wider ideological faction. Liberals on the side of the Israelis, progressives on the side of the Palestinians. Either way, this rupture within the Democrat Party appears headed for a very real collision. And with young voters caught in the middle, the political fallout from that collision may indeed last a generation.